Hello dear viewers and welcome to RTD's English. This edition the top stories for Outman. After the floods of Djibouti remains a scarred city. And on the international news, the threat to meet between Trump and Kim Jong-un. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. After the floods, as we say in our major stories, Djibouti remains a scarred city. Indeed, 72 hours after the deadly storm that hit the capital in the night from Saturday to Sunday and flooded the entire city of Djibouti, rainwater was cleared. The main arteries have been covered with traffic, but after the passage of these waters, Djibouti offers the face of a poor city, devastating and unrecognizable. The damage is considerable. The road networks of Djibouti city is entirely devastated by the passage of water, but also the electric and telephone networks. Never has a storm been so deadly in the history of Djibouti. Anglais in District 7 are the neighborhoods the most affected, and the homes have lost everything, and until today some houses are still in flood despite the multiplication of assistance. And faced with this situation of chaos, the public services, including the sanitation services of ONEAD, are working since the terrible night from last Saturday to Sunday, and the agents of the ONEAD fight to ensure the pooling of waters, which was a success. The first phase focused on the clearing of the main roads and now drained, the move to strengthen buckets in the neighborhoods. This is how the specialized trucks of the sanitation service of ONEAD remain mobilized in the bad side of this devastated city. Through all the neighborhoods affected by rainwater, the sanitation service remain at work until today to ensure the pumping of water and the unblocking of the pipes here as District 6, 1 and 2 in Arhiba or Ingela. The road network did not survive the passage of rainwater, especially on the arteries crossed by torrents of mud and water. After the clearing of the water, roads of Djibouti city are unrecognizable or non-existent in some places. This disturbs the traffic on these pavements to become difficult to access. For the time being, it is difficult to envisage large-scale works even if the Djibouti Highway Agency remains at work to clear the traffic lanes. Another service at the bedside of this disaster-stricken town was the teams of the Ministry of Health who were involved in this operation in the neighborhoods and were applying anti-larval products to prevent mosquitoes and flies. A new Mekinu depression that has just formed in the Indian Ocean again worries the Djiboutian population, who experienced a historic torrential rain on 20 May with a record level of rainfall with 100 millimeters at PK20 and 110 millimeters at the airport of Djibouti. This depression called Sikar has done significant damage in the city of Djibouti, but according to the specialist of the Meteorological Service of Djibouti, a new depression called Mekinu does not orient on the trajectory of Djibouti and is moving toward the Omani and Yemeni coast. They assured the population that this depression will not affect our country and that there is no reason to worry. The President of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Humma, today received from the hands of the President of the Court of Auditors and Budget Disciplines, Mrs. Ismahan Mahmoud Ibrahim, a copy of the 2017 report on the financial management of state institutions. The mission of the Court of the Auditors is to promote a good budgetary governance and to avoid reckless expenditure in the functioning of state institutions. The original of this report having been submitted previously to the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Mukili. A delegation led by the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Mouki, is in Geneva to participate in the 74th session of the General Assembly of the World Health Organization at the Palais des Nations from 21st to 26 May. This year's theme is Universal Health Coverage. The Minister of Health had the opportunity to present the strategy of Djibouti's government after the establishment of the Universal Health Insurance, which was a great success. The Republic of Djibouti was congratulated for the establishment of Universal Health Insurance In addition, the Minister of Health was elected Vice President of this session of the WHO General Assembly, where 193 countries are represented. In this session also coincides with the celebration of the 70th anniversary of WHO. Rwandan head of state Paul Kagame made a speech. He presented the process that his country has implemented to extend universal health insurance to all citizens. And finally, a meeting was held between the two ministers of health of Djibouti and Yemen. The latter thanked the President of the Republic, Ismail Mrgele, and the people of Djibouti for the reception of Yemeni refugees, the assistance provided to them. The Minister of Health, Dr. Jamal Miokie, in an interview recalled that the Republic of Djibouti was congratulated by the WHO for the establishment of the Universal Health Insurance. He also welcomed the election to the Vice Presidency of the WHO General Assembly for 1 year. The Minister of Health has increased bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the 74th World Health Assembly. Dr. Jamal Miokie met with the Minister of Health of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Tawfiq bin Fawzan al-Rabia, during which was focused a donation of 20 million dinars agreed between King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud and the President of the Republic of Djibouti, His Excellency Ismail Mrgele. The Saudi minister, rejoicing the quality of the relations between our two countries, assured the Djiboutian a part of a finalization as soon as possible of this file intended to support us in the acquisition of medical equipment last generation. The Minister of Health also met with the Minister of Health of Oman, who pledged to support Djibouti in the care of migrants and refugees. He invited Dr. Jamal Miokie to come on an official visit to Muscat to inquire advances in the Omani health system. On the menu of talks with his counterparts from the Kingdom of Morocco, Tunisia, Mali, Sudan, Senegal and Cuba, the partnership and coordination on health, as well as the ways and means of strengthening in cooperation South-South specific and innovative for our country. And now coming back to the news hour, or the national news, the Minister of Communication, Abdi Yusuf Sugi, received this morning the new director of the Somali service of the British Broadcasting Company, BBC, Mr. Abdullahi Sheikh Abdi. The latter was accompanied by some of his collaborators during the meeting. The discussions focused on the ways and means to strengthen the relations between Somali service of the BBC and the Djiboutian media, particularly with the national radio television. This cooperation will be strengthened through the exchange of programs and exchange of expertise. The director of the Somali service of the BBC told the Minister of the Communication of the great advances made by radio, television and the mastery of sophisticated technology, equipment and means. The support of the RTD to strengthen the listening of the Somali service of the BBC was solicited, in the programs and news of the Somali BBC service are broadcast from London. The international radio channel has a large network of correspondents around the world. Yemeni refugees benefit from new shelter in Abak, where they can live decently. A new shelter was built for them through King Salman's Aid and Relief Fund, 300 homes, a school, a health center, a mosque and 4 large generators to supply electricity to the new living space. A signing ceremony for the transfer to these facilities was held at the Saudi Embassy in Djibouti. Present at this meeting was Honor's Executive Secretary Mr. Hussein Hassan Darar, Project Coordinator Hussein Mohammed Shardi and representative of the King Salman Center. This project, funded by Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, this social project will be aimed for refugees and host communities who will have to find work in the maintenance and upkeep of these generators and others. A launching ceremony of the national platform took place within the Al-Rahma complex by a group of eager young people ready to participate in their own way to advance the progress in the socio-economic and cultural development of our country. The platform United Djiboutian Youth has taken birth of a key moment in our history, because the country needed a structure that motivates, unites and accompanies the youth in its fight to take part the multi-sectoral development of our nation. All the more so since the government, under the leadership of the head of state, is constantly and regularly striving to support the youth as a whole in each of its interventions to increase efforts to promote active youth organizations. And now on the international news, Trump's gassed up on planned summit with North Korean leader. Hindi Ibrahim has more to tell us.
U.S. President Donald Trump said during a meeting on Tuesday with South Korean President Moon Jae-in that there was a reasonable chance the summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un might not take place on June 12 as planned amid concerns that Kim is not committed to denuclearization. Trump's comment came after a change of tone from North Korea last week when Pyongyang suggested the summit could be consolidated its was pursued towards a unilateral nuclear abatement. The last U.S.-South Korea air combat drills and suspended talks with South. The U.S. President said that whether the meeting will be held will be determined pretty soon. The purpose of the South Korean leader's visit to Washington was to find time.
In more on this nuclear program, North Korea pledges to dismantle nuclear site in May ceremony. More with this video. We don't have these images, and now we close this news. So thank you for joining us on RTD and have a good news.